Hi, my name is Shannon Anderson and I'm a children's instructor here at the Montclair Art Museum. This winter I am teaching a creative cartooning class, and so today we're going to look at a project that we're going to do in that class having to do with cartooning. And one of my favorite things to do with cartooning and animation, which would be a flip book. These are really great and a really fun way for kids to learn a little bit about animation without having to do all of the digital craziness. It's a very attainable thing. You could start by doing something like this where you are planning it out a little bit and kind of going frame by frame as to what you want to happen. But today my idea is that there's going to be a pencil laying on the table, and then it's going to kind of stand itself up and draw a big squiggle line going off the page. And so the first thing I'm going to do is just with pencil and an eraser sketch out my first frame, which again was my pencil laying down. You can add color to these as well. However, in the beginning, I like to just do pencil and Sharpie, and it makes it a lot easier to figure out what to draw in each frame. And then I'm going to go back with my Sharpie once I have it exactly how I want it and go over this. And this is going to help me to be able to place the next piece of paper, my next little arrangement of my artwork, and I can just erase my extra lines. Personally, when I was a kid, I became interested in art through drawing cartoons and drawing my favorite cartoon characters. For a lot of kids, their first love of art isn't going to be looking at a painting and saying, wow, that's really phenomenal. It's going to be looking at their favorite characters or their favorite video game characters, things like that, and drawing it and really enjoying that process. So for my next step, I like to take my previous drawing, now that I outlined it with Sharpie, and place it underneath. This gives it like the tiniest bit of what in animation they call an onion skin, and it's just like that little bit of a faint outline of what you did previously, so that way you know how to adjust it for the next frame. So since I'm standing up my pencil, I'm not tracing over this one, but I'm just going to make it a little bit more slanted. And now you could draw with pencil first. That would be totally fine. I like to draw with Sharpie a lot of the time, so I am okay. And I also kind of like it when it doesn't look exactly the same. I know perfectionists are probably like, no! But I kind of like the sketchiness and having it have a little bit of inconsistency, so that way it looks hand-drawn, and I like it when things look the way that they were made. And so I'm just going to keep repeating this process again until my pencil is standing up. And as I'm placing them to the side, I'm trying to keep them in order. So that way I know. I should know what it looks like off the top of my head, but just in case, I like to keep it in order. My next thing is to have it start drawing and squiggling around. I also like, in terms of drawing prompts for cartooning, is not always having to make the subject matter a specific character. So in this case, our character is a pencil, instead of being like a frog or a person or something like that, because we can kind of animate objects and tell a story without words and without having to write out something crazy. I think that this is very attainable for the 6 to 8 age level specifically, especially because a lot of them are still in the process of learning to read and write. We might be able to conceptualize a story and tell a story, but we maybe can't put that on paper. My pencil squiggle first. and then move it down. So that way I have an idea of how to change my squiggle. And you can do this in many pieces of paper. You could do this in a few pieces of paper. It all depends on how detailed you want to be. For younger students, I would say less pages, just because the drawing of everything would be pretty repetitive. But as we get to be a little bit older, we can sit for longer and kind of repeat a process over and over and over and over again. So in a cartooning class, we might start off with something simple like character design and go over that. And still in thinking about, maybe the main character, the main subject isn't, an animal, maybe it's an object, or maybe something, again, that's a little bit more attainable to draw. And then after we have kind of created some characters and experimented with different media, then we might work our way up to storytelling like this. This is great because it's kind of like a silent cartoon where there's no words. So again, they don't have to write anything. You're telling a story and you're having multiple images that work together. And again, with a variety of art media, so taking a little bit of what we have done in learning to design a character and to create a storyline, and kind of take that and put it all together, wrapping it up with a nice big bow. Again, I like things that are about real life, because I think that doing things that emulate real life is really honest and also attainable. So in thinking about things that happen in someone's day-to-day life, again, my original one was my cat yawning in his little cat bed dome. So it could be, a pencil getting up and starting to draw. It could be something where like an object comes to life and what does it do? Or a transformation. Could be a flower growing, could be a snowflake falling from the sky, a fish swimming. Anything that involves movement or transformation usually works really well for flipbooks. Okay, I have my whole drawing. Hopefully my flip design looks good. We could try to test it out a little bit. Pretty good. So now what I'm going to do is bind it and put the whole thing together. There is probably an infinite number of ways that you could put this together. However, today I'm doing one of the simpler ones, which is just a hole punch and some string. Again, similar to how I did this one. I put one end through one hole and the other end through the other opening. And I do it this way because I like to have the tie on the front. You could do it so the tie is on the back. And then you could just tie a regular knot, or you could tie a bow. I like a little bow. I like to trim off the extra so it's not super long. And now that my whole book is together, I have my whole flip book, and this makes it much easier for you to flip the pages as well. So I can kind of try to slowly, maybe you can see it well. Yeah, there we go. It takes a couple of tries to get a good one. There. So that is my flip book project that I will be doing with my cartooning class. Ta-da! I did it. Maybe? Good? Okay.